I'm here, and I've got at least one guest. I've usually got at least one guest. They're not always the guest that I was expecting, but this time it is. It's Mark Salveit, and he's doing a brilliant show, 2 brilliant shows, in fact. So here he is. Introduce yourself.
Hello.
How are you? How's it going so far?
Very good. I'm doing my same show from last year, Palindrome Fight, which is palindrome improv. You know, you give us ideas, we invent palindromic sentences on the spot, usually pretty crazy. And then I'm doing a new show, which is family friendly, excuse me, involving ancient coins, which is just sort of an obsession I fell into during the pandemic. And but it didn't seem like there are very many good meaty shows for kids. Like they were just like flashy magicians and science guys. And I thought maybe something with a little more heft to it might be, and that one's been going crazy. I just barely got my flyers done. I'm not that organized. We've been getting 25, 30 people a night. So.
Wow, that's really exciting. So what do you do with the coins?
So it's a combination. So I have some make and do activities for the little ones, like
nice.
With bouncy putty and pieces of cassava or yams. They carve coin dies and squish out bouncy putty coins out of it. So that keeps them very occupied. I have some silly jokes and such. And then also I hand out actual coins that people can hold and check out. And I show slides because you like coins, you know, that sometimes they're very small. So I have a slide projector and I do giant slides of them so everyone can see them. And then I tell historical stories. I'm a bit of a historian. I actually present at historical conferences. And when I got into coins, I discovered like a dozen kingdoms I'd never heard of before. I'm like, how could I have not? I mean, not that I'm the greatest, but there shouldn't be a dozen kingdoms I've never heard of. Places like Himyar and Axum and Bactria and Kushan, Sogdiana.
Bactria, like the camel.
Yeah. What's that?
Like the camel, Bactria.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a lot of these are in what's now Afghanistan, Uzbekistan, or Western China. So right in the center where all the 4 of the great civilizations came together, right? Like India, Persia, Greece, and China. And you can see the mix of all these different cultures in the coins there. So I'm pretty fascinated by it.
Are they made of electrum and stuff like that?
Some are. There was a lot of gold up there. I can't really afford those, but I have pictures of those. And then a lot of them were silver. There seems to be a lot of silver. This is like a rare local. It's not even properly a kingdom. Chongyeon is what it's named. But I just thought this coin had a lot of charisma. It's up there kind of in the Afghanistan area. It's got a lot of Persian influence. You can see that's basically a fire altar there on the back from Zoroastrianism.
Oh, wow. That's really cool.
Some of the first Buddhist countries were there. Not surprisingly, a lot of them went Islamic later.
Yeah.
So.
I know, I'm sort of looking through this box. I had a Roman coin that I bought, which wasn't exciting. It was just the cheapest one there. And
well, like, one of the things I do is anyone who contributes 20 pounds gets a free Roman coin at the end of the show. So that's been pretty popular.
Yeah. That's a good value, actually, because you get
I'm from the States. You know, we can't really go metal detectoring. If you find a Roman coin in the States, something really suspicious is going on.
That is, odd. Although I've heard about look at what we found, and inside, there was a thing about metal balls that are millions of years old that can't possibly exist. It's like,
are they though?
Are they though? Are they?
I think it was ball bearings from a spaceship that crashed and they just fell out.
Exactly. Of course they are. Of course they are. No, I can't find it. It's just like I've just got stupid modern coins here.
I met one guy in the States. I met one guy in the States who claimed his daughter found a Spanish gold doubloon, which is just barely possible in historical terms. But I maybe just threw a doubloon in the mud and said, "Hey, honey, look over there."
Well, I mean, antique collectors have been in America for 200 years, so you can have anything from anywhere. And it might have been there a long time, but it's not from there.
Yeah. So what kind of coins do you get?
I've just random ones really. I'm just like I've just realised all my interesting ones are in a different box. These ones are like the things that are sort of investment opportunity that's never going to go. Although this is sorry, wrong. This is the ones that I thought was interesting, but it turns out that they were made for like 300 years. It's Maria Theresa Thaler.
Oh yeah, that's a very famous coin.
So it's impossible to know where it came from, when it came from.
Yeah.
Because they made them for like 300 years with the same date on them.
That's one of the things I find interesting is that some kingdoms would make coins of other kingdoms or imitate them. Yeah, exactly. That's kind of, it wouldn't have occurred to me until I got into this stuff. But sometimes, like the king is popular. Well, you become king by killing the king. You might not want to advertise your fact. So you keep putting out his coins going, oh no, everything's fine. No worries.
Yeah, no problem.
No reason to revolt.
Trust that king.
Yeah. Everyone be calm and just chill. Yeah.
But what I'm trying to find there is I found in this room where I am, we've got a slug problem. There's slugs everywhere, but we can't find the slugs. So I was wondering, maybe it's actually ectoplasm or something, which my evidence for this bizarre thing is that one time I found a coin in the corner that seemed to have fallen from nowhere. And I can't find it now, but it was Mary Theresa's actual husband. So the king, who didn't reign for very long, and it was tiny, but I looked up online and I can't find it anywhere. I'm like, how is this? It's just like a tiny
hang on to that.
So I don't know whether it's a reproduction or what, because I can't find what it's a reproduction of, because it doesn't seem to exist in the world.
Could have been original. I mean, one of the reasons that I didn't know about these kingdoms is some of these places have no written records. The only thing archaeologists know about them is a coin. There's several kings in Bactria and Kushan in the Afghanistan area. Literally no evidence of them at all, except someone found a bunch of coins in the dirt.
Yeah, it's just like the whole Ozymandias thing.
Yeah, or
amazing
Atlantis.
Coin. Look how much money I've got. It's like, who are you?
Someone in Afghanistan found a hoard with 500,000 coins in it. You're like, what? If you have that many coins, I mean, you need wheelbarrows, you need carts to, I don't know. You think you should just get gold at that point.
Pure gold. I mean, it's
like when you pass the hat and you get 20p.
It's more of a sort of like, this is gold. I've stamped it. It's, you take my word for it or you don't. This is gold. Yeah, it's probably a sort of like a little hallmark from the ancients.
Yeah. Or maybe the guy was just a street performer and he just passed the hat for 30 years and had a lot of small change.
Exactly, which you do get. I was just telling you about the Thai bats that I got one year.
Yeah.
And I thought they might be worth something in Thailand, but they were very old, and they weren't old. They weren't like ancient old that you can antique coins. They were like 1960s, but they were from somebody that it's not legal tender anymore. So it's like,
you should take them to the Lady Boys of Bangkok, and maybe you can buy merch with it.
I'm not sure how much you could get with like 5 Thai bats from 1957.
They might be excited.
They might. Who knows?
Might be the year their parents got married or something. Who knows?
Well, exactly. I don't know whether they're up this year. Are they up this year? They've usually
They're right next to. I'm at Brewdog Lothian, formerly known as the Brewdog West, and they're right next to us. So there's a giant tent. Yeah, I think they're sold out actually for the whole run.
Yeah,
you can't miss them if you're on Lothian.
They're very popular. They're the most popular show. Always sold out. One time I was staying past the Meadows when they were on the Meadows, which is a few years ago now, and I'd walk past them every morning and just listen to them, lip syncing. So I didn't listen to them. I listened to whatever the songs they were listening
to the radio, really. Yeah. They'd be illegal in several American states now.
I know. That's just shocking. I don't know what is happening there, Mark.
I don't know if we want to get political. I think we're in the middle of a slow motion coup where people are trying to take over the judiciary and trying to squelch the vote. And but anyway, that's not what either of our shows are about.
We're here. So. We're to do with fun and coins and everywhere.
Yeah.
How is it this year up there?
It's good. It's really good, especially with the coin show. I mean, I don't know. I guess I had an impression that there weren't very many interesting things for children to do, and it was all sort of like flashy magicians and science guys. So something different might be fun, and it's been packing out. But some of it, I mean, there's just a lot of cute stuff I found. Like, have you seen these Olbian dolphins?
Oh, wow.
This is from what's now Ukraine, and these are quite ancient. This is proto money. We have some proto money. I have another one. This is broken, so I could afford it, but this is Chinese knife money from about 300 BC. So it looks like a knife. It's dull, so it's safe for kids to handle. Or Chinese bridge money here.
Oh, look at that.
Warring States period.
Yeah, so you got a hole so you can put them on a string. Yeah.
We got pirate money. Arr.
Oh, pirate, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're in the UK. Oh, you can't say "arg."
Pirates were from the UK, so they're all from Bristol. Arg.
Well, they must have lost their accent, or they picked up an American accent when they were in the Caribbean. That's how.
Well, maybe in Hollywood they did. I think
it's not scary if you go "aw." You have to go "arg." You need that hard R.
From the West Country, though.
What's that? Do they say that in the West Country?
That's probably West Country, yeah.
Oh, okay. The Irish could have it's kind of halfway in between with the Irish, right? It's like, Ari. There's like a little.
And also Welsh. Obviously, Captain Morgan, Welsh.
Oh yeah.
Just from down the road from me. Family, like a second cousin, was absolutely adamant that we're related to the Morgans, but I don't know whether I am or whether just they are, because the thing is with cousins is they do have other relatives. But I tried
might have just been calling you an alcoholic, right?
Maybe, but I couldn't find, because there's the Tredegar House and stuff that the Morgans. I can't find any actual evidence, but who knows?
So where are you? You're in Wales now?
I'm in Wales at the moment. I'm going to be up in Edinburgh from the 13th. Hopefully,
what part?
I'm in southeast Wales, which is Newport and Tredegar and everything is up from there. You just go straight up the valley from Newport and you get to where I am at the moment.
I just spent some time last year. I'm going to say this horribly, so forgive me. Llantwit Major?
Llantwit Major. Yeah, no, that's more west.
Major, yeah. Some people just call it Clantwit Major. I don't think that's it. Llantwit Major.
Oh, no, I'm spitting everywhere.
Air in the back of your mouth, kind of.
It's sort of there. It's not at the back of your throat. It's more.
Okay. Shat. Okay. Yeah. Squirrel.
Yeah. It's an art. I'm not. I mean, even though I'm from Wales, I didn't start trying to learn to speak Welsh until about 3 or 4 years ago. So although the place name, so it's like I'm halfway there. It's like it should be there, but it's not perfect. And obviously North Wales people are going to say it completely differently. Yeah.
Well, it just sounds that English doesn't have, right?
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, because there are a lot of double L's and various and double D's, which is a sort. But there's a place near me. I've got it in my shirt. There's a place called Vartig, but the B is an F. So the signs keep getting stolen.
Right,
and
of course.
It's a Welsh school. So they're like, we have to have it in Welsh. And it's like, you know that it will keep getting stolen, and it does. It's a fight they're not going to win, really.
In the States, my best friend is named Llewellyn. Nobody says Llewellyn, and we all just call him Lou, which sounds very strange here when I say my best friend is a Lou.
It's fine. The thing is, I think Welsh people are they accept that people are going to say things wrong. Although I think you keep it to yourself. You're like, just a silent simmering,
judging,
resentment building up, but you probably won't be told that it's wrong.
my family comes from the Irish, and there seems to be a bit of that too, or especially the other side of my family's Norwegian. It's all about silent judging, just like.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the Welsh are very polite and lovely to your face, and it's just sort of, we're so friendly. The land of song, we're so lovely to everyone. Although we do talk on the bus a lot. I mean, there was a bus that was very late, and then everybody on the bus, because it was very packed, was just talking to one another. It was like, this is not like London. And back, I'm like, this is
nice. Yeah, I like their friendliness. People were very nice to me when I went out there.
Yeah, I mean, people will be nice, and they'll want to know where you come from.
Right.
They'll demand to know where you come from. Whereas other places, it's very impolite to go, where are you actually from? It's like, they genuinely are interested because they want to
Right.
know about you. It's a different attitude, really, than why are you here and where are you from? It's like, where are you from? Welcome,
Right.
welcome.
Well, they
This
might
is
be a
just
little
my
bored,
impression.
really.
Maybe that's not true.
Do you think it's because they're bored?
Bored of Wales? Why? How could you be bored of Wales? The mountains, the mountains, more mountains.
The history is amazing. That's why I was there. I mean, I could not believe that there was a university in Llantwit Major in the 6th century. Like Oxford thinks it's old. They were 500 years old when Oxford was founded.
Well, where I am now, it's where the Silurians, not the Silurians from Doctor Who, the Silures. This is where the tribe hid from the Romans because there's a very narrow valley. There's places you can hide. There's places you still can't find. You know, they talk about, there's hidden places in Antarctica. It's like there's hidden places in this valley because you think, it's just there's nothing there, and then you go, what's here? Like,
that's what you're meant to think, right? That's what you're supposed to think, that there's nothing there.
There's nothing there. Exactly. I found out recently that I was like, there must be a stone circle somewhere. Why is there no ancient monuments? And then I looked and realized that everything is named after ancient monuments. The whole thing is Garn is the same as Cairn. So Garn is like a cairn, and every single place is named Cairn. It's like, well, where are they? Because it was a mining area. I think the landowners like, don't. We haven't built over ancient monuments. There's nothing but I found a stone circle that's just really near me. I'm like, but it's like all covered over with. Didn't even know about it. Nobody knows about these things. So secret.
Are there were the Silurians, if I'm saying that right, were they considered a Celtic tribe?
Well, yeah, I suppose so. The Silures were like the whole of this area from Killeen upwards. So you know Killeen, where it's like, it's Camelot. The real Camelot, and all the way upwards, they just the Romans were on the coast, and the Silures were like fighting them back. Like,
right.
Our mountains are important.
So I'm very interested in the Celtic culture, and I talk a lot about Celtic coins in my show. Some of them, like look how adorable! Can you see that one there with the little Pegasus there, the little winged horse? Is that the cutest coin you've ever seen in your life? Yeah. And the other side of it is a lady with the most fabulous hair. And like 200 BC, how did you get those waves and those curls? I don't have it handy, but yeah.
Lots of people doing it for you. You're
and
rich.
Very big into
horses. Do it. Horses.
Very big on horses, the Celts. All of their coins have horses.
Yeah. So it's just like Celt is a sort of like a coverall thing. It's like everyone says Celts are from like Asia and they moved in. It's like I think they might
at least as near as I can tell, around Switzerland is where they began, but they expanded both east and west, got into Turkey, Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria, down to Spain. Really, when we say cults, I think the only unifying thing is the language and certain elements of the culture. Right?
But even then, there's like Celtic B and Celtic, because like Welsh is not the same. It's from the same proto language as Gaelic and Gaelic and everything, but it's I think it's nearer to Cornish and Brythonic. I think it's Brythonic.
Well, in the States, I think most people just think Celtic just means people in Ireland, Wales, and Scotland, and they have no idea that it was over most of Europe.
Oh yeah, absolutely, everywhere. It's why when you do your ancestry DNA and they go, it's sort of Welsh, Irish. It's like it could have been anywhere in Europe.
We had a scandal in my family. We've always understood ourselves to be about equal parts Norwegian and Irish, and my brother came back 25% in English, and we were like, "Who's your mother?"
Well, he's more English than me then. I've only got 14% English in me.
Good for you. Well, then they revised it like a few years later. They were just like, we've changed our algorithm. You're not English anymore.
Exactly. It's actually English in Western Europe. So it's like, we don't know, because it's illegal in France, I think, to get it. So it's like,
really?
It might be French. Who knows?
My mother was briefly engaged to a French guy. So that's a very interesting fact I have to wield over my brother's head at Christmas.
Well, my dad's side of the family is French because my dad's sister married a French person, and they had 4 kids, and then so there's an awful lot of every single cousin on that side is French, and then on my mother's side, who's one of 9, I've just got a load of English and Welsh people.
Well, I mean, not to put too fine a point on it, but the French did conquer England and Wales and Ireland, didn't they?
Well, yes, exactly. So that's a while ago.
So if your great grandmother was pretty, then probably there's some French blood in there.
But when you look at it, the Normans were actually Norwegians and Danish, so they were the Vikings.
But living in France,
the Vikings with a different hat on. It's like we conquered France, and now we're going to conquer England. We're not Vikings.
Yeah, right. You're all related to me, so
you are
my Viking forebears.
I've got Norwegian and Danish and Swedish in my ancestry DNA, which when I first took it, it didn't say that. Now it's like, how am I like 12% Norwegian? This doesn't make any sense.
Right.
What?
The Viking longboats got around.
Exactly. I was adamant I had no Irish and no Viking, no Scandinavian, and now it's like, it's Welsh and Scandinavian and Irish, and that's it. No English for you.
The Vikings delivered men wherever they were needed around Europe.
It's like you're running short. We've got good hair. Have us.
Well, you know the history of it. That back in the Viking days, the Viking men were known for bathing more frequently than other men. They were tall, they were muscly, and had long hair. They combed their hairs and beards more than other men. And so the story told by the people who remained in England or wherever is that these men came and stole the women.
Yeah.
I think ticket out of town was well appreciated in many cases.
Probably. It's difficult to know, isn't it? But
yeah.
But most of the royal families in Ireland and Wales who were sort of related were actually Norwegian, Danish.
Really?
Swedish.
Yeah. Well, I know Dublin was founded by Vikings.
Mm.
So in a city that kind of represents my heritage, A Viking invaded my mother and established a colony, which is me. So here I am,
There you are. Yeah, exactly. It's all good. All right. So you've got 2 shows. One of them is Brewdog, and one of them is Burrito and Shake.
So palindrome fight is it Brewdog? Used to be West. Now it's called Brewdog Lothian. And that's at 16:55. These are all free shows. PBH Free Fringe will pass the hat. And that's you give us ideas, we invent palindromic sentences to fit.
Nice.
And actually, most of the people in the audience try their hand as well. Punters have won about a third of the shows, including the first night this year. And then the other show at 13:15 is at Burrito and Shake, also free Fringe. And, stuff for kids, stuff for grown-ups. I basically get them off playing with their bouncy putty, and then I can talk to their folks and tell them interesting stories.
Yeah. I mean, how do you find that? I mean, I had a sort of it wasn't really archaeology, but it was me pretending to be an archaeologist by digging my backyard in 2012. And I did get some actual archaeologists in who thought it was fun, but everyone that wasn't an archaeologist thought I was just terrible and I was just taking the piss, which I was, but I was genuinely excited about the things that I found in my backyard.
There are things in the dirt, especially here, a little less so in the States, but I found an American Eagle $50 from like 1910. I was just digging a trench in my yard and stuff without even a metal detector or anything. It can happen, but especially here. I want to get back to Wales. In fact, I should see if I can talk someone into letting me metal detect on their land, because there's got to be really good stuff.
I mean, we found ages ago when I was a kid, we found like a threepenny bit, which when they were very big, it's like a cart horse one. Apparently they used to, because they were good weight, so they used them as weight. So it was very worn. You can't tell what's going on. And they used it in my show.
Some of the proto ones.
Everyone's like, this is just a lump of metal. What are you talking about? It's like,
right.
It's interesting.
Right. Well, some of the proto coins before they had actually proper coins were just loops of metal, like rings. So if it looked like that actually could have been money.
I mean, it was, exactly. I mean, it was money, but I mean, I've got like a bent 1 penny piece. It's like it's bent. It's not worth anything. I don't know why I'm keeping it in this because it's like it's worthless. It's like run over by a car.
Right. One of the things I love about ancient coins is you can touch them. I only put them in this plastic so people don't nick them. But
well, yeah.
Like this one is a long penny of the Anglo-Saxon king who lost to the Danes, Ethelred the Unready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just so insulting.
Well,
But
if you look at him,
ready.
if you look at his picture there, I'm not sure if that's quite visible. He looks pretty unready. He looks pretty goofy. Like if I was a Danish general and somebody handed me this coin, I said, "This guy's a wuss. Let's go. We're taking England."
But I mean,
I was working
as a TA, a teaching assistant in infant school. It's great because you learn all the things that you didn't learn when you were in infant school.
Right.
Oh, interesting. I did learning along with everyone. And the whole thing, they were doing the Vikings and everything. And it's like the whole family history of those. It's like they were somebody's cousin. It's like, it's just a family feud. It wasn't that the French took over from the English. It was that the different branches of the Scandinavians were pretending to be things that they weren't so that they could get what they wanted.
Well, like you say, the Normans, are they French? Are they Vikings? They kind of went native a little bit, started making baguettes and such, but they were still Vikings.
Yeah, they were the conquerors of northern France.
Well, they had the great advantage that since everyone in the army was named Norman, they could just go Norman attack and they would all run. Whereas, the English were like, Fred, James, what was your name again?
Well, they were all called Ethelred and Ethelgrave.
Yeah, it'd take forever, and they were
all called Ethel.
Yeah. Well, Ethelred the Unready. I think, in retrospect, it might have been a mistake for his parents to give him that name. It's a bit of a tip-off.
Yeah, it is a little bit of a tip-off. Yeah,
I appreciate honesty, but
Yeah, I mean, it gets worse, and you look into people like there's a lot of French kings called. There's one called the Fat. It's like Charlemagne's. It's like Pepin the Stupid and Pepin the Fat. He had 5 Pepins, and he had to make. Which one is it? The stupid one or the fat
the fat one? Right. Well, in the Carolingian era for palindromes, I've done a lot of research on that, and the peak of palindromes in the 850s was under Charles the Bald, who was a great hero of mine, for obvious reasons, and Charlemagne's grandson. But he really did create an amazing center of learning. It was not in Paris, but Aachen, I think, and it was a lot of Irish monks who fled the Vikings.
Yeah.
So like this is getting a little violent over here. I'd rather look at my old books, and they all fled to France and then created the center of learning.
Wow. That's really good because I mean, you look in the really ancient world, and you've got Timbuktu, which is in the middle of the desert in a war-torn area you can't visit. It's like, what was in Timbuktu? Well, imagine the coins, imagine the stuff.
And the manuscripts. I don't know too much about it, but I've read they have thousands of manuscripts there that are centuries and centuries old. People are desperately, digitizing them because it's still war-torn. It's still
exactly. You can't go there. It's like I found everyone's going on about the Eye of the Sahara, which is in the similar area, and it's like it's Atlantis. Oh, there was a great big cataclysm. Look at it; it's all circular and stuff. It's like, ooh, I bet it's not, but I'd like to go there. Can I know? Because it's right next to Timbuktu.
Just look at it on Google Maps.
It's like, wow, it's a big giant eye in the desert.
There's probably a lake. You figure?
It's like circular. I mean, it's concentric circles.
They
found fossils and stuff on the outside.
Well, concentric circles, doesn't that just sound like a lake drying up? And
it could be, but it's quite an interesting one. But if you look at the Sahara, it's very easy to convince yourself that there was a big wave that washed everything, and because it is sort of weird looking. So, but it's in the middle of it. But people apparently only noticed it from Google Earth. I think they probably knew about it, but pretending that.
Well, sometimes when you're down on the ground, like in South America, they had those giant line drawings that you could only see.
Oh yeah, the Nazca drawings. Yeah, I was trying to find them on Google Earth the other day, and I was like, I can't find them. And I could find like pictures of them, but when I was trying to find it, I was like, Where are they? It's like, this is where they
Right.
are. It's like, I can't find them because Google Earth doesn't really go close enough for you to actually see them, unfortunately.
Well, people on the ground, I'm not sure you could see it.
No, you can see them from the air, but not Google Earth too far up.
So not before 1900. People, like, how did the people know to draw them? That is kind of amazing.
Yeah. But I mean, there's like all the chalk drawings in Dorset sort of area, like the ancient.
I don't know about them.
Well, there's a lot of like horses drawn on the side of in what is Wessex, but Wessex isn't a real thing, but in that area. So there's a lot of chalk horses, but there's also a great big man. I can't remember what he's got. A great big man with a member and a club.
Yes, I've seen that one. Yeah.
Yeah,
that
and
one's
the thing
quite
is,
popular.
you have to make sure. I mean, these things disappear very quickly, so you have to have generations of people recarving.
Right, but that one's on a hill, right?
It's on a hill. They're all on hills.
So you could see it from the ground, I'm sure.
So you can see that from the ground. You don't have to go above, exactly. But
how many nightmares?
The circle near me, it's like that is apparently on the highest area, and now it's all covered with vegetation. I didn't know about it at all. It's like, why are all these things on the top of a mountain? Which is, I've lived here a lot of my life, and it's like, I'm not going up that mountain. Why are you going up that mountain? It's just horrible up there. But they've got loads of stuff up there that you don't know about. Does
anyone know when there was last no vegetation covering it? Is there any way to tell?
No, because I didn't even know about it. But there is an ancient. There is a sort of legend about some people that went dancing in a fairy circle and disappeared.
Oh,
and
nice.
Like, yeah. And I was like, oh, there is a stone circle. That's interesting. What?
Yeah. Well, there they are. Well, there's your answer, right? I love that kind of stuff.
The answer to everything. And now we've got aliens, so it's obviously that.
Yeah. The aliens, honestly, is kind of boring. I like the fairy stuff better. Have you read...
fairies and angels and aliens are probably, and ghosts and anything else. It's probably the exact same thing. You look,
have you read Yeats's book?
Stories, gods.
Have you read Yeats's book on fairies and the wee folk and such? About 1900. That was fantastic, I thought, because he basically acted like he was a scientist taking notes and just going around asking all the different people in little towns, what are the fairies like here? And like, oh, they're so he'd go, well, the fairies are much larger in Cork, and they have green eyes rather than the pink eyes that they have over in Donegal. And he just took everyone at face value and just reported it as if it was scientific observations.
Well, I mean, that's the best way to do it, isn't it?
Absolutely. I loved it. I mean, it's so good to read instead of being condescending,
Well, that's it. I mean, that's it. When I used to see stupid, weird things when I was a child and tell people and they go, shut up. It's like, I don't know what it is. It's probably nothing. But to just dismiss what happened, you can't. It's inexplicable. It could have been anything. You can't just say, "Oh no, that didn't happen." It's like it did happen. What it was is a matter of debate, maybe.
Right. I love talking to little kids along those lines, and then they'll bring you into their world because they don't have any boundaries or any understanding that their world might be different than anyone else's, so they can tell you their stories well, like Barbie. I don't know if you ever had Barbies when you were a kid.
I didn't. But
I played a lot of Barbies with my daughters. Yeah, so I have 2 daughters. We played a lot of Barbies back in the day. And in our experience, number one, Barbie was always naked. She just could not keep her clothes, that girl. And it really didn't seem to matter. There was no perception that she was exposed or whatever. Barbie's, in our case, was just a sock puppet, basically. And then they would invent a story, this whole elaborate story that the Barbie just represented their story, but it was all in their mind. The physical form of Barbie didn't matter a whit, so they didn't bother trying to save the clothes or whatever. And then my secret was, if there's any dads out there, my Barbie was always very stupid. And so my daughter's Barbie was constantly outwitting her and cheating out her money and making her eat the gross food or whatever. And that was hilarious.
I had a Cindy doll, and I used to borrow my brother's Action Man and dress the Action Man in the Cindy clothes, which didn't really and then cut all the hair off the Cindy. Anyway, I had quite elaborate, she was like
also
a single mother,
illegal in several US states now.
It was complicated. It was like, this is dark, very dark.
No,
stories
that's
that they would
good.
be put through.
That's good, but don't do that in Tennessee. You could go to jail now.
Exactly, but poor Action Man.
I never had Action Men. I never really saw the attraction to it, but I
Well,
was
you
I was
never
a
dressed
nerd.
them in Cindy's clothes.
Yeah, that's
That's
true.
the fun thing about them.
Yeah, my sister was 8 years younger, so there were no Cindy's lying about. So I just read books. I was a nerd.
Oh yeah, books. I was thinking I don't read as many books as I used to. So many books in the past. It's like, what happened to books?
Books are
They're going to
good.
disappear, and there'll be no record of our civilization because all the electronics will have burnt out.
You know, it's true though. Like I'm researching these ancient manuscripts. I'm actually deciphering a manuscript from the year 855 that's at the British Library, and they let me handle it. And no one has ever managed to work this out. There's a bunch of palindromes on the page, so naturally my expertise. But it's just amazing that something that old, like you can't find an email you sent last year. You know, theoretically, I guess it's somewhere, but these books they last 1,000 years, 2,000 years.
Exactly. Well, I mean, the parchment that they used, it's not just papers. It's all the time.
It's all parchment, or if you're really old, papyrus. But it's very hard to find that because it's not real good with moisture, which in England kind of an issue.
Timbuktu's probably brilliant. You've probably got proper.
Well, Egypt, you know, so much of the papyrus we have all comes from Egypt because they're so well stocked with desert.
No, I heard something about papyrus. There's only one place that's it's died out, and the actual papyrus reed is in only one place. So there's hardly actually any papyrus being made anymore.
Oh no,
that's sort of reed is just it's not grown everywhere because it used to be all along the Nile, and now it's just in one place apparently.
Wow,
it's like
was that the reeds?
All the papyrus is from one place.
Yeah, you know when Moses was found in the reeds, was that papyrus?
It might have been. Yeah,
I don't know.
Because that might have been symbolic in some way. He was a knowledge, the knowledge of Moses on the. I don't know.
Very big on words. I don't know. Well, let's make it up. We'll just establish a theory now.
Whatever it is, that's what it is now.
It is now a theory officially.
It is officially a theory. Yes, exactly. We just need evidence to back it up. Oh no, we don't. We just
start with the theory. Yeah,
start with the theory.
Then controversial theory.
Yeah. It's a bit backwards. I mean, you think, I've got evidence and I will use this to base it. But people do go, I'm going to just come up with some thing and then find some stuff to back it up and ignore everything else. It tends to be what happens these days.
Sometimes I think humans are cursed by narrative. Like it's been useful for us for a lot of things, but I think that's a lot of conspiracy theories is people want there to always be a story. Yeah. And sometimes just random events happen.
Completely random. Yeah.
Right.
You don't need to explain things. Things happen. They're weird. Just accept it.
There need not be a connection between anything. Sometimes there is. Many times there is not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although
it's not
at
a
the
very
same
good
time,
story.
Everything's connected and nothing's connected.
Right.
It's all to do with the other stuff, and none of it's got anything to do with any of it.
Right. Exactly. So that's your next book.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go there. Let's write it. Yes, we will get a PhD, a whole doctorate out of nonsense. Yeah.
It's a little bit like, do you know Mike Kaplan, the American comedian?
I think I've heard of him. Yeah,
he's doing a brilliant show at the Dairy Room at the Underbelly now in Bristol Square. And he's fond of psychedelics. And so he talks a lot about how everything's connected. And yet he's not real good with social strictures. Anyway, it's a fantastic. I just went last night. It's a fantastic show, and then it takes a turn at the end and becomes amazingly romantic.
Oh wow! There's a lot of things. Is there anything else that you'd recommend? Well,
so many shows. There's another guy at Brewdog Lothian named C.J. Hooper, who is a historian and a poet, and he does counterfactual history. So he'll go through history, give me an event and a leader, and tell me how it changed, like make it different. Like William the Conqueror lost, or that kind of thing. So those are his audience suggestions. And then just like that, he invents a rhyming poem and recites
Wow.
it on the spot to the crowd.
That's really cool.
It's so good, and it's fun. It's not, sometimes stuff like that can be wanky. It's just like showing off, I'm so cool. It's not like that at all. It's a super fun show, very audience participation. If there's kids, it'll be family friendly. If there's not, it won't. Yeah, and he's a very good guy, friend of mine. So yeah, that's at 120, I think, at Brewdog West. I highly recommend that.
Yeah. Does that clash with your coin show?
It does. So I went to it yesterday on my day off. I have Tuesdays are my day off, so I was able to go yesterday. So it's fantastic.
So if you're up there more than 2 days, then you can see both. That's
yeah. Stamp Town, have you seen that?
No, because I haven't.
That's a fantastic variety show. It's based in New York. You may have heard of Viggo Venn, the clown. He won Britain's Got Talent recently. He was part of it last year. Yeah, and he just stole my hat yesterday as part of his clowning act. I couldn't get into his show, and I was standing outside because people kept running in and out, so I was watching. He dragged me in, looked at my bucket hat, looked with disgust, which fair enough, and like fake spat on it, threw it on the ground, and handed me a different hat. And I was like, great, this is a lot warmer than my hat. So he came out at the end to trade back, and I was like, can I keep it? It's like, I'm good, and he agreed.
Like, don't give me something better and expect me to go,
I was going to just run off, but then that seemed a little unethical. So I waited because I was talking with a lady and she said, well, are you sure it's Viggo's hat? It might've been from someone else in the audience.
Yeah, could have been anyone's.
Yeah, I can't. So I have to wait. But it worked out. Yeah, he's brilliant. He's doing a couple shows at the end of the show, Viggo Venn. And then this guy, Jack Tucker. Stamp Town is like a variety show. It's crazy. It is often rude. Don't bring your kids. I doubt they would allow it. It's like at midnight. But it's a wild, crazy. People might not be what they think. Like Viggo and Jack Tucker were both clowns pretending to be other types of performers. Viggo came out trying to be a pop star. And he was running around being young and beautiful and like singing, and the crowd's going wild. And I was like, why is this guy going on and on and on? And then I finally realized it was a clown making fun of pop stars. And then, Jack Tucker's a clown making fun of comedians. So he comes out as kind of like a corny, old school, New York Borscht Belt comedian. Take my wife, please,
Where's that at?
I don't know off the top of my head. Last year they were right in Bristow Square at one of the big. It'll be a pretty big venue. So if you just Google Stamp Town,
old paid one, hundreds of pounds, difficult to get in, sort of thing.
Yeah, that's really good, really good. Yeah. So are you doing a show?
I'm gonna go up on the 13th. I'm gonna do 2 of these live with people in actually Banshee Labyrinth, and I'm gonna do my Welsh show from 2015, which when I did it went down well, and I was packed every day. And the reason I was packed every day is my venue was so small. It was this small. That's how big it was. I could very easily pack it out without any work. So I thought I'm going to try and get it one off, rejig it a little bit now that I've learned a little bit of Welsh, because my whole shtick was I don't know any Welsh, nobody speaks Welsh in Wales, which is a lie, and now it's definitely a lie, because apparently Duolingo, there's like 1 million people around the world, so more people around the world speak Welsh than Welsh people. So I'm just going to do that a one-off, and if nobody turns up, that's fine, because I'm going to also do it on the internet. So it's like if nobody is there, I've still got an audience, and if nobody's on
after we get off, send me your info or tell everyone right now when your show is. I'd love to see that.
It's at, I can't remember. It's at some point. It's fine. It's soon. Let's have a little look. I've got a little.
What's the name of it?
It's called good point. The Welsh Connection, and it's oh no, where is it?
Sort of like the Rainbow Connection, but less flamboyant, perhaps.
Yeah, it's at 1825 on the 16th, so 25 plus 6.
Oh, fantastic!
But I also have got like sort of improvised online thing, which I'm doing Wednesdays and Sundays, except next Wednesday where I'm doing the Welsh one, which is at 8 o'clock. So I just sort of mess around and ask you what you want, and just.
But you said 1825. 18:25 on the 16th.
18:25 on the 16th, and that's live in
which I would call 6:25 in the evening.
6:25, yeah, but the Fringe time is 24-hour time, so you don't get.
I'm not used to that. I was never in the military. We call that military time in the States.
It's 6 p.m.
Yeah. Okay. And where is it at?
It's at the Banshee Labyrinth Cinema Room. Just
fantastic. I love the Banshee Labyrinth. Like my first show I ever went to, a guy dragged me to pints at the Banshee Labyrinth, and I'd never been to Edinburgh before at all. And I was like, what?
Most haunted pub in Edinburgh. I did have a full run there in 2010, but the person I was originally supposed to do, because we were like doing half a 20 minutes each, whatever. The person that I did it with, who had been the person that said, hey, let's do a show, when I can't afford it anymore. And so I had to find somebody else at short notice. And that person was told by a friend that they should go on first every night. We were going to swap it around. So it was a bit miserable because they were sort of upset about their thing, and they'd sort of drive the audience away. So by the time I came on, I'd be like, is there anyone here? No. Okay.
Right. That's a red flag when your friend says you better go first. That indicates that you're going to drive the audience away. Right? That's
there won't be anyone
the
left
expectation. So you better
that's one of the reviews I got. It's like, Elise Harris wasn't bad, but by that time I'd lost all hope. Not that the person was bad. They were great, but maybe they weren't as experienced as the person that I had originally meant to do it with.
Yeah. It's easy to drive a crowd away.
It is, especially it gets easy to get just desperate and upset and if you're trying stuff out and just using them as a sort of experimental sounding board, sometimes they don't really want you to do that.
Well, people have a lot of choices here. Right? So if they're not having fun, there's really no reason they should stick around.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
It's just like, we got something else. We just go next.
I will never see all the shows I want to see during this stretch. I've seen a bunch. I've seen a lot that I loved. Stuart Goldsmith's show is very good.
Oh, yeah.
On the climate change. But he starts out apologizing like, I know, I'm sorry. You don't want to hear about climate for an hour. It's very funny. He's at the top of his game. That's a very good show.
Yeah, he's great. I used to have like a little sort of trying out night in South London, and he was one of the people that appeared quite a lot in the early days.
He talks a lot about not living in London anymore.
London. Everybody that's famous went to my terrible show and said, hey, this is great. It's terrible. It was like, thank you. But now they're all big and I'm not. And it's because my show was terrible. But they weren't. They were all great.
I don't know how that works. It seems if you have several great people on a show, it's not terrible.
I know, it was amazing. But I mean, I let people, if people wanted to do 25 minutes, if they wanted to do 20 seconds, I just let them. It's like, I don't care. It's like,
that's good though. As long as you have the good ones do the 25 minutes and the poor ones do 20 seconds. That's the key to it.
That is true.
I'm setting up some shows in Vermont in the States. If you're over there, come on up. I can get you some stage time.
Wow, maybe. Yeah.
Here. I also have stage time with Palindrome Fight. I give people half an hour to write their palindromes because I'm not a monster. And so there's room for guest sets for performers during that time.
Wow, who knows? Because since lockdown, I've just not really done that many live shows. I've done a lot of internet shows, but out in the public with people actually there, I'm just like, this is why I'm trying to get up there for the first time since 2019.
Yeah, well, this it's a great chance to ease your way back into it. There's so many opportunities for short, guest sets and there won't be 300 people. I guarantee you. Our room only holds 40. So.
Oh, well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're worried about large crowds or you're a little rusty or worried about catching COVID or something, it's pretty safe.
I don't know what I'm worried about. It's just taken me till this year before I've even gone out in public and done stuff. I'm just like, I'm staying here.
I mean, whenever you talk to someone who's not a performer, they just can't believe anybody gets up on a stage and talks, right? So it's unusual that anyone is not afraid to do that.
Well, that's it. But then you're like, oh, it's easy. And then you take a little break and you go, ah!
Right. Exactly. I was quite unpopular as a kid. So I think I've never worried about it because I'm like, well, what? Are people not going to like me? That's already checked off on my list, right? So I got nothing to lose.
That's a good philosophy. To be honest, I wasn't very popular, so I should probably, yeah. It's like any attention's attention, really, isn't it?
Well, and then sometimes they clap, which is amazing.
Yeah, surprising for me, but
yeah, right. No, same.
I'm so used to people going, yeah, that was rubbish. That if anyone shows me the slightest bit of, yeah, I really like that, I'm like, yeah, lying to me, lying.
Well, you know, and if you're trying to do something interesting that's just not the same old, you're going to have up and down. But my philosophy is always, as long as they're paying attention, if they're not on their phone, I don't mind them hating me, because at least they're interested in what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
But
I did get frustrated once when somebody looked like they were going to sleep and they were just like, and I was like, and the thing is, because I was in character as a character, I just had to go at them, and I just got really angry and just.
That can be good. That can be good. I got divorced in the early years of I'm remarried, but I got divorced in the early years of my comedy. And I was actually served papers by a guy who stepped out of the bushes while I was on my way to a gig, which my ex-wife knew. She was trying to sort of sabotage me. Oh. I was just boiling, in view of my daughter's room where they could see it. So I was just boiling, and I went down and I worked out a bunch of angry rant material. And the booker was like, "You should get divorced more often. That was funny."
Oh, life's rich tapestry.
Yeah.
Cliche.
But that can be more entertaining. No one wants to hear about your happy things.
No, that's true. I mean, for a longest time, I had a persona that was completely sweetness and light, and then people would meet me and go, "You're not like that, really." I'm like, "Nah."
Aspirational.
Aspirational. So Karen Lyons saying Mark's show. So Mark's show, yeah. So your show's at 1:15 at the
1:15 at Burrito and Shake. That is the Coins show. It's called Ancient Coins from Forgotten Civilizations. Brilliant. And then the other coin, the other show is Palindrome Fight. That's at 16:55 at the Brewdog Lothian.
Now you're doing 16:55. 5 to 5.
I'm trying. Yeah, right.
So you have got
to get used to it. Yeah,
you got used to it. Yeah.
So when I get drafted into the army, I'll be ready to.
Ready to go. All right, so we will round this up because this is about the length of an actual Edinburgh show. For I was actually in Edinburgh. This is about the time that we'd be like, oh, we have to get out. So
yeah. I took a day. I take Tuesdays off. I'm 61. I'm doing 2 shows. I'm trying to acknowledge my limits. Right? It's just like
no limits. Keep going until forever. Yourself.
I'm happier. If you're trying to be funny, it's good not to be like at your wits' end, exhausted. Like
Oh yeah, you've got to pace it. That's it. The younger you are, and even if you're not young, the first time, like you could be 80 years old and you're doing Edinburgh for the first time. That I think the sort of you want to just see everything and do everything and maybe I think the more you do it, the more you go, yeah, I'm just going to sit in and have a cup of coffee today.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to rush around, see all the shows, but I'm less charmed by pulling all-nighters and not having any sleep than I was when I was young. When I was young, it was exciting and it was like naughty. Your parents say you should sleep. No, I'm not gonna. You know. Now it's just I've been there, done that. It's not that fun.
Exactly. I spent the first couple of years when I was going to Edinburgh. So I started going up in 2006. So it was like so much fun.
Very young.
Hey, I got into the members bars. All these famous people. I'm going to stay up all night till 6 o'clock in the morning, and it's like not doing that. Sorry, I can't be bothered.
You do it once. It's like a lot of things. Try it once, and then checked.
Done it.
Yeah.
Got other things to think about this year. Yeah. I don't know, because I don't know what. Maybe it'll be all fresh and new. Because every time I go up there, it's like, hey, here again. Because I've spent as much time in Edinburgh as I have in quite a few places that I've lived. Right. Actually, when you add it all together, it's like, wow, more than a year I've been up there.
Yeah.
Because it's separate, you don't think about it. So
I know the shops have changed, the restaurants and such. Yeah. Even just from last year have changed a lot.
You're like, everything's going to stay the same. It's like, what the because I've said this before, that they build quite they build the buildings to look like they've always been there. So you're like, hey,
I think some of them really have. I mean, I don't know. I'm American. What do I know? I used to have a house that was built in 1900, and everyone was like, "Oh, that's so old. How can you have a house that old?"
Yeah, but I mean, with Edinburgh, it's really good. There's a hotel that was built only like 10 years ago that after about 2 years was the same color as all the other buildings. It was like, this wasn't here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
they spring out of nowhere.
sometimes poor construction makes it look several hundred years old too.
Yeah, that's true.
I think the castle's real though.
I think the castle might be real, but
Yeah.
who even knows? Oh,
Right. Let's start a
history.
conspiracy theory.
Conspiracy theory.
It's
yeah,
a hologram.
Exactly. It's like, I did hear some conspiracy theorists going, because some spaceships landed and they're so big that they had to cover them with buildings and it's not in America. It's like, well, it's obviously the castle. That's what it is. Of course it is. It's Edinburgh Castle.
Well, why not cover them with the ocean if they're really that big?
Yeah.
That's Atlantis for you, isn't it?
Yeah, let's all cover. Yes, go under the water and see what we shall see. All right, what we shall see is things in Edinburgh, including Mark Salveit's lovely shows, and you can come up to see me on the 16th and see me online. Until then, I have got a show tonight. So I'll see you soon. Thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, thank you. That was so fun.
Excellent.
And we'll see you at your show too.
Oh, good.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.